Bee Monster Laboratory here. Today we're going to create a sound sensor activated active buzzer alarm using our Elegoo Mega 2560 microcontroller. Let's get started. Now there definitely are other components you can add in place of or in addition to an active buzzer in a project like this. So we'll definitely be revisiting something like this in the future using a sound sensor module. But for now we're going to create a sound activated buzzer alarm. We're going to take a look at the wiring, the code, and see how it works. If you saw last week's video, I did add a couple new components here. The one component I added is an active buzzer, and the other component I added is a 220 ohm resistor at the ground connection for my active buzzer. Now, the active buzzer has oscillating circuits and operates on a simple DC electric signal, whereas the passive buzzer operates on a square wave frequency somewhere between 2 and 5K. But today we're going to use an active buzzer as our alarm. So in this setup today, once sound is detected through the sound module, the buzzer will go off. With the sound module, I got rid of the analog output. I am using the ground and positive connection, and also the digital output is connected to pin number 8. That's just an arbitrary pin. That's the pin I chose. If you look at the active buzzer, the positive pin is connected to a pulse width modulation pin, pin number 13, and the ground pin is connected to the ground connection with the 220 ohm resistor. If you look at the bottom of this buzzer, you can see that the longer pin is the positive pin, the shorter one is the ground pin. If you can't tell which one is longer, you can just flip it over, and you can see that the positive sign is right here on this side. So if you look at the microcontroller here, the only pins that I'm using are the 5-volt pin, the ground pin, pin 13, and pin 8. This may be helpful here if I flip over to TinyCAD. I just started using TinyCAD, and actually I like it quite a bit. It's pretty good for something free. But this is this is the best I can do. I am learning on this. So here are the connections that I was mentioning earlier. There's the 220 ohm resistor at the ground connection for my active buzzer, and then the positive pin, like I said, is connected to 13. And the digital output of my sound sensor is connected to 8. So maybe that will help you a little bit. So we can come over here to our code, and we can see that we have defined some integers up here at the top, some variables, and we say that pin 13 is named LED, and it is our output pin. It is the positive pin of the buzzer alarm. And in here we see the microsensor pin is pin 8. That's the one that comes from the digital output of our sound module. And mic state is a variable that we use for the sound sensor to tell us whether the signal is high or low. And come down here to the setup. You can see that this tells us that the LED is an output, and that is pin 13. You can see here that the microsensor pin is an input. That is our sound sensor module pin that's connected to pin 8. That is an input. And then the microsensor pin and the LED pin, this tells us that they start out low or they start out turned off. We come down to our loop, and we see that the code is checking with the sensor to see if the signal is high or low. And here it says that if it is high, the LED will be high, will be turned on for 1 second or 1,000 milliseconds. And you can play around with that number, make it whatever you want. So as you can see, the code for this project is very short and very simple. I previously loaded the code onto the board, so I shouldn't have to upload it again. I should just be able to activate the alarm, and we'll go ahead and do that. The alarm is much louder than it sounds. And if you play around with this for too long, you'll drive your family absolutely nutty. Now remember, you can adjust that sensitivity with a screwdriver. Just use the screwdriver on that screw on top of the potentiometer. Now if it's too sensitive, and that's what I'm doing, I'm turning it up to be too sensitive, you'll have a hard time getting it to go off. I'll have to physically cover the alarm to make it go off. Now I've replaced the buzzer alarm with an LED, a 10mm LED, and it may be a little more tolerable for other people in your house, but you can add a little bit of light to this project if you want, just by adding an LED. And it does come on for a second. And again, you can play with the timing that the light will come on. There are other components that you can add to this, and I'll definitely be revisiting this project again in the future, maybe with some different components. I'm a huge fan of automation, alarms, stuff like this. I find it really interesting, so hopefully you enjoyed the video. Well, that's all I've got for now. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again very soon.